at the NFL Scouting Combine, checking in with offensive coordinator Brian Callahan. And Brian, we're about halfway through Combine week at this point. How would you say it's been going so far in terms of getting to meet and evaluate prospects?
It's been great. That's been the best part of what we get to come here to do. We've had meetings with a bunch of offensive positions kind of all across the board. With our formal meetings, we get 45 of those, and then our position coaches have been putting a lot of time in down with the informal interviews at the new train station. So it's really productive from that manner. We get a chance to see these guys face to face, talk to them, and see kind of what they have to offer personally, as opposed to just watching their tape.
As you and the staff begin to evaluate the quarterbacks in this draft class, what do you make of the overall talent of the group, and how much weight do you put during the on-field workout and drills?
It's a really talented group, particularly at the top, between Joe Burrow and Tua and Justin Herbert. Those three guys are really talented players, and there's a couple guys that kind of fit that next tier of people that are probably going to get drafted relatively high, with Love from Utah State and Eason from Washington. There's a handful of guys that will fit those kind of mid-round type players, and it's a good class. As far as the on-field work goes, you know, it's productive for us to see them throw live. I've always preferred to see quarterbacks throw in person, so you get a feel for their mechanics and how the ball comes out of their hand. But as far as, you know, if you have trouble hitting guys on air, you probably shouldn't be here. So that part of it is, you know, how they throw it is really mostly what I'm concerned with when I watch them. Is what does it look like, the ball coming off their hand.
What's one of the most important traits that you do look for out of these quarterbacks?
Really the same thing that Zach does. And, you know, you want to see ultimately a guy that can lift his team and lift the people around him. That's kind of the first thing you look for is how much better do they make everybody else. And then when you get specifically into the traits you look for as a quarterback, you want to see guys that are accurate, throw on time, and make good decisions. You know, protect the ball, don't turn it over, and then put guys in position with their accuracy to make plays down the field.
Now, as this team looks to bolster the roster through the draft, how eager are you to get to watch some of the other positions take the field, especially when there are deep groups like the wide receiver class this year?
That's the one I'm really most excited for. I'm excited to see some of these guys run. There's a bunch of really talented receivers. It's a deep class, guys that have a bunch of different types of skill sets that are really interesting. So to me, I love to see what their official times are. How fast are they really? Some guys play fast. Some guys run fast. You like to see a combination of guys that run fast and play fast. So that to me is the best part, is you get to see those guys go out there and really run and see what their times are going to be and how fast they are on a clock. And then you get to see them run the routes and you see how fast they play. So to me, that's the most fun, is to watch those guys go run around.
Being so heavily involved with the offense, just how do you try to allocate your time with looking at the different position groups and making sure you spend enough time with different prospects?
I think we kind of try to divide it up. For me, you know, where are we looking? Where are our needs taking us? And to start, that's just kind of where I start. So what's the priority? We're picking at a particular place. What are our options offensively at that place? What are we looking to take? Who are the best players there on offense? So I was trying to start there. And some positions have more priority than others. Like you're always going to value your offensive linemen, your tackles, and quarterbacks higher than you are going to value a tight end or potentially like a safety. Those guys tend to go, unless they're elite talents, kind of a little bit later. So for me, I just try to go with who fits what we're looking for. I always watch the tackles. I always watch the top linemen. I always watch the quarterbacks. And I always watch the top receivers, because you never know as the draft unfolds where those guys end up being picked and where they fall to. So you always want to have a really good feel for the top talent, kind of at all positions on offense. So I would say I watch pretty much all of them at some point, but I focus mostly on the top talent, where those guys go: tackles, quarterbacks, top end receivers.
Well, Brian, thank you so much for spending some time with us, and make sure to check back into Bengals.com/combine for the latest coverage.